So you're not gonna see this anywhere on any YouTube video or any website or mainstream article concerning astronomy anywhere. It just doesn't exist. But today, I'm going to make it exist. Of course, the traditional high celeste is in order. Now, astronomers, they're lost. They don't know what they're doing. And even if they did know what they were doing, they aren't allowed to speak up because, well, their peer review buddies will blacklist them and make sure that they can't further their career. So, they keep quiet. And I know some astronomers are watching these videos and just want to say hi. It's the idiot ones that I'm more or less addressing. Transneptunian objects are objects that are orbiting the sun, and they're at an orbit at around 30.1 AU. Their average distance from the sun, and 1 AU is the distance the Earth is from the sun. So at least 30 times plus the distance from the Earth to the sun, these objects are out there. They're far, far out there. They're beyond the orbit of Neptune. I did a little sheet here. Haumea is 30 to 51 AU. Makemake is 38 to 53 AU. Sedna is between 76 and 960 AU. So almost 1,000 times the distance the Earth is from the sun. It's way, 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 way out there. Orcus, that's a cool name. Kua Or, 2002 TX300, that's a cool name. 2002 AW197. Varuna, Axion, Vesta, Pallas, and Hygeia. And here's what they look like. And Earth obviously is to the right for scale. These are Transneptunian objects. What these objects are can't be used in a circular definition way. The astronomers, they say, these are Transneptunian objects. Well, what is a Transneptunian object? How do these objects get way the heck out there? Because the mainstream theory that they continually teach in school, which is totally false, is that rocky objects formed close to the sun, and the sun pushed away all the hydrogen, helium, gas toward the outer regions, ripping away the rocky object's atmosphere, and then leaving the gas giants on the outer rim. But that's a problem, because the vast majority of numbered objects, over 500,000 of these suckers, are far out beyond the orbit of Neptune. So how did these giant rocks get way the heck out there? If there's just supposed to be gas out there, where did these come from? And the question is very hard to answer or to ask, because the assumptions get in the way again. The astronomers, they assume that Transneptunian objects, these objects, were always in orbit around the sun since the very beginning, which is completely 100% false. Transneptunian objects have no relation to via formation to the sun whatsoever. They are completely independent of the sun, and the vast majority of them are far older than Mercury. I would take a guess that the majority of Transneptunian objects are trillions of years old. As well, some of them might be really, really young. And there are two main mechanisms for forming Transneptunian objects. The first one is rapid disintegration during evolution, which means if a gas giant gets in orbit around a hotter host, and it orbits really close within a period of maybe like a day, it orbits in about a day or 2 days. It's spinning really, really fast around its host star. Here's a little easy diagram to understand. If you have a gas giant in front of a host star and it only takes about a day or two to orbit, it's going to be ripped apart really fast. It's going to speed up its line of evolution, and it can form a very small object left over, which isn't going to form oceans, which isn't going to form life, which isn't going to form a big iron core. It isn't going to form any of that. It's going to be ripped apart, and so fast that it's going to struggle to form a little rocky ball in the center, and that little rocky ball is never going to get to any appreciable size. And then that's how it forms. It's these objects, these Transneptunian objects, were once objects that were trying to form in outer space, but were ripped apart long before they could become the size that the Earth is. See, the Earth, it got lucky. It was a gas giant in middle stages of evolution that was up here. It could form nice and slow and form the giant iron nickel core. It could form its huge rocky mantle in the crust and had a very thick atmosphere. These Transneptunian objects, you see this little yellow gold area? What happened was the gas giant got ripped apart by its host star really fast, and then got thrust way the hell down here really quickly. And these little labels right here, they go as follows: small planets and moons, medium and large asteroids, small asteroids, meteoroids, gas and dust. So there's even a possibility that at one time a gas giant that got ripped apart by a hotter host could be something the size of a car. And that's the only thing it could form until it eventually got ejected by the star. It's really that simple. It got ripped away. It got destroyed before it could form anything significant. Before it could accrete anything internally to the gas giant when it was in intermediate stages of evolution. It was ripped apart by our hotter host. That being said, the astronomers sort of make things more complex than they have to be. They don't look at synthesizing information. They make it look like they're synthesizing information with things like a Euler diagram, where they have planets up here, satellites, natural satellites. They have comets, Plutoids, Transneptunian objects, minor planets, dwarf planets, centaurs, I don't know what those are, small solar system bodies, and centaurs down here. See, they have this huge Euler diagram where they differentiate these arbitrary differences. Like, why is planet separate from dwarf planet? There really isn't an explanation for that. There really isn't one. There is no definition that can be explained rationally. Why is there a gap right there? Why did not include dwarf planet? You see, there's no real explanation for this. And the reason why is because they don't realize it's all the same stuff. All these objects are some portion or stage or being ripped apart by a different stage host star. They're somewhere on this diagram. And depending on what it is and what it looks like will determine where it is on this diagram. But they all have the same origin. They all have a spot that they came from far into their previous evolutionary sequence. And of course, we don't see that previous evolutionary sequence. And even if we, did see it, the astronomers, they don't care, because their assumptions are the only thing they care about. And their assumption is all the Transneptunian objects, all 500,000 plus of them, all formed around the sun, which is completely ridiculous. All these objects came from somewhere else in the galaxy. All these objects are the remains of stars that evolved way too fast and couldn't become like the Earth, and couldn't become like Mars or Venus. They were destroyed. They were destroyed. And the second way to form these objects is through impacts. All that happens is that they just smash it into each other, and their self-gravitation makes them round again. That's it, really. So there's two main mechanisms to form these objects. they didn't form from rocks self-assembling in outer space. That's totally ridiculous. Any astronomer that says that something this massive, which can do so much damage to Earth if it were to hit it, forms from self-assembly in outer space without a pre-existing gravitational field there to clump the material together. You see, they don't. It's like one of those psychological card games where you take a bunch of scenes and there's no words. It's just people in the scenes, and you have to place them in the correct sequence. Or you can put it in a different sequence and make it look really funny, but you have to put them in the correct sequence. And the sequence that they have these in doesn't exist. You see, the sun is 4.5 billion years old to them, and all these objects self-assembled in the vacuum in outer space. Which is, well, it doesn't make any sense. Plus, it's not needed. We already have an explanation for it now. Transneptunian objects in dwarf planets, minor planets, Plutoids, small solar system bodies, comets, natural satellites, what have you, they're all somewhere on this diagram. Of course, some of the Transneptunian objects, they could be vastly younger than some other Transneptunian objects, which could be older than Venus. So the age differences between these Transneptunian objects could be on the scale of trillions of years. But I think a large portion of them are trillions of years old because there's just, the universe is timeless. Of course, there's going to be a lot of them that are trillions of years old, maybe even quadrillions of years old, and I can't even imagine a number that large. But to dramatize this Euler diagram that they have on the TNO page, the Transneptunian object page, or I think it's the dwarf planet page or the minor planet page, it's very simple here. Just draw a big circle around all of it. And this is what it is. It's very simple. They're evolved stars or stellar remains. That's all these objects are. It's simple, to the point, and it's an Occam's razor for astronomy. Alright guys, I made this talk way long enough. Later.